And as we were sitting here discussing how best to behave ourselves to ensure that we don't offend anyone's ears, John starts dancing and swearing. Not singing, swearing. We're back. Hello, Statter fans.
We're back. Oh, lads, this week in sport, before we even get into everything, we've got obviously what we're up to. We're getting close. Things are happening. Jimmy's up to bits. The Premier League have decided to drop a little pony with their new release of some stuff, which Jimmy's going to get into in a minute. It's almost like they were listening.
Almost.
And then the two teams in focus this week are Chelsea and Man United. So normally we have a bit of a bigger running order, but we've decided that given the fact that Chelsea are the fact that they've spent all of the money and that Man United, despite all of their best efforts, cannot spend any of the money, I think they're two big enough topics that we don't need to talk about much more.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's been like those two teams in particular have spent a lot. United are just the most overweight, bloated, biggened by their fans topic of discussion for a bottom quarter shit team I've seen in years, but they do merit a lot of conversation because what they've done is quite interesting. And Chelsea obviously are still playing with an infinite cash cheat.
Well, they're literally using the infinite money cheat, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
it's
how they are.
Well, they'd spent the third most amount though so far this season in the off season, behind City and behind Liverpool, but they've still done a truckload of business.
So before we get into that side of
we'll get into that
because I want to give that as much time and energy as possible. And we'll just get the soft touch stuff out of the way. Jimmy, do you know the way we've been building Statter Draft for the bones of a decade? And we've been bitching about defenders. And do you know the way we released our points model a week ago? Mm-hmm. It's almost like somebody
What has happened was in an amazing coincidence, just as we put out a very carefully crafted no, look, they're not copying us, right? It takes them longer to move because they're a bigger machine, right? And I get it. For anyone who missed it during the week, Fantasy Premier League, who are by no means our rivals, they're the mothership that we all descended from, changed the rules a little bit and are awarding extra special points for defenders and DMs for aerials, interceptions, and tackles, which is, in a very broad sense, a good thing. Because you've all heard us on here before banging on and on about how defenders are woefully underappreciated and DMs are completely useless. And stuff like this is how you help and how you move things in the right direction. I will say, though, there's a bit of a little problem with that. Just a little problem with giving extra points for defensive midfielders, but not actually categorizing defensive midfielders. So have we now got an invisible category, or are the points just going to all mids? And now you've got points going for tackles to defenders and mids, but not strikers. And it doesn't work for me. It really doesn't. I think it's an attempt to fix a problem with...
It's almost like the issue with the midfielders is going to grow. Because now they're going to get defensive. Because most of these midfielders are actually forwards.
Oh, it gets worse. Cunha's just been redefined as a midfielder. Like, he's probably going to be playing out front for United next year, so he's naturally a mid.
No, he'll be playing as one of the two 10s. So
we'll get back there. I think this thing with Premier League is that, and we've seen it last year with the last couple of years with the chips and the double wild cards and all the rest of it. I think they realize what we've been saying all along, and I'm not being smug about that. I'm actually tipping my hat to them because they don't have to listen. Everybody plays their game, but they are trying to make their game better. And what they are doing in a little bit at a time, in a very different way to us, a step at a time, is what we're doing at breakneck speed towards where we launch. We want to start off as the most realistic and most strategic game. I think they're dipping their toes and going there, but they have to worry about not scaring anyone off, because I think an awful lot of people just want the game to stay the same as well. That's fine. That's okay. But those of us who realize where it could be improved, you're seeing FPL try to do that. And that's good. That's to be admired. But I really do think it's a terrible, terrible idea to have a shadow category of defensive midfielders without making them a category on the pitch. And I think this is the kind of thing where if you're going to go there, you've got to go all the way.
Have you seen some of the new recategorization? As you said, Salah's now still listed as a midfielder. Cunha's moved to being a midfielder. Jared Bowen has moved to being a centre forward. Ryan Sessegnon is no longer a defender. He's a midfielder because he's one of my favourite players. So I copped that one straight away, that Sessegnon is no longer a defender. He's a midfielder. However, he's going to be a complicated one because sometimes he plays left back, sometimes he plays right wing. So I don't actually know how you define him. He's a floating mental case. But I like the
But
idea of what they're going down the track with. And from our perspective, it means that players coming into FPL this year are going to be looking a little closer at the defenders, which from our perspective, thanks a lot, guys, because it means that when y'all coming over watching and playing our game, you now got that little bit more of a defensive understanding of, guess what, defenders are real people and they have emotions and they're lovely boys and they deserve to be rewarded.
Yeah.
Because it's not just who gets a good boy every once in a while. James Tarkowski should get one too.
Yeah. Look, I think it's a good move by them, but I just think they haven't thought it through far enough. Because, Jimmy, to your point, this defensive contribution is not for defensive midfielders, it's for all midfielders.
Yeah.
So Mo Salah, for example, now can earn an extra 2 points a game for getting an interception high up the pitch, which makes not a lot of sense.
Not a lot.
Not a lot of sense.
The 5 defensive actions to get the 2 bonus points.
Yeah,
So let's say if you're a Mo Salah, it just means that Mo Salah is going to be kept with the captain card all year, because it means Haaland now can't be captains because Salah now is going to get forward actions as midfielder plus the defensive actions. So anything that gets doubled up on means, guess what, Mo Salah stays as your captain all year and you're not going to move.
Yeah.
So
now I did run some numbers on this just because I was curious to see who was going to actually benefit. And to be fair, it kind of lines up with the way with our way of working. So like we've done this and looked at it obviously from a central midfielder, central defender perspective. But if you actually look at it from the FPL, you can probably guess who's benefiting the most, and it's someone that we love. It's James Tarkowski. He would have gained an extra 44 points last season. Then you've got Caicedo, you've Bednarak for Southampton, and then Huijsen for Bournemouth. Mm-hmm. After that, it's you keep going down, and it is more central defenders than anybody else who actually will make more points out of it. So, broadly speaking, it works. But then, when, as John, you said, if you've got the likes of Mo Salah, who's classed as a midfielder, who can now get more points or have no more metrics to score points, he ain't changing from your.
No, not
it actually makes.
Why would you?
My problem is with. I understand the concept. I love the concept, but again, it feels like they've done the thing what they've done in the past, which is let's add the gimmick. Let's throw the gimmick out there. Let's not think of the further logic down the path. It means that a centre forward is now no longer captainable, which means that the differentiator from having that captainship, you've kind of murdered it at very early doors. It's like, cool, I'm going to put a forward who's essentially a winger on a team that high presses. They're going to get some interceptions.
But the thing is, right, if we're going there and we're talking about strikers in FPL, I picked my team 10 minutes before we came on.
There's no anymore.
There's Isaac, and that's it. That's it. Apart from that, it's maybe Watkins. I obviously have gotten creative with Brighton's new array of Greeks, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, midfielders have the option to pick it up, but they need to do more. They have to recover the ball, and they need 12 instead of 10 across the game. But even that doesn't make a whole pile of sense, because what you're saying there is that a defensive contribution from a defender is worth more than a defensive contribution from a midfielder. But defenders get more for goals than strikers because it's unusual. If your striker is getting back, if your striker is making last man tackles or blocking scoring attacks, you give that man some points. Because by God, okay, I'm not talking about David Luiz, what's a heat map, but, you know, FPL, reward the ones who are working outside their little square.
FPL, why do you hate forwards?
Why do you hate forwards, FPL?
Why do you hate forwards?
They're real.
I mean, this all started because we love defenders and we felt like they weren't getting enough love. And now FPL feels like they've gone to all the forwards again. Nobody plays as a forward anymore.
Yeah.
No, the total opposite.
And, you know, trying to get past 4-4-2 is good, but I think I know the solution. But to be honest with you, that's coming in a much, much later version of Statter. So you're going to have to hang on a while before I can show you that one. Twiddle, twiddle. So what's this about money, lads?
Oh yeah, let's talk. Right. So before we get into the long form of Gary's Corner, FPL will be back to you. So I'm just going to give us a little announcement. Obviously, we're running closer and closer and closer to deadline day, getting closer to the big day, getting close to the Premier League starting and us starting, and more on that when the time comes. If you're not on the waiting list yet, get it done. Get it done.
Quick.
It's getting. Get it done now. Myself and Jimmy have agreed that what we're going to do is maybe not this week, but maybe next week. We'll confirm times and dates on this, but what we're going to do is, so for anybody that's watching over on TikTok, anybody that's watching over on YouTube, get your comments in. We'll answer them live. We're going to maybe do an hour or so of a live stream, myself and yourself, and just, do you know what we do?
How does it work?
How does it work? Ask us your questions. Myself and Jimmy will do a pretendy, if you pick this, I pick this. Just to give you an understanding of how a draft works, I suppose. Yep. And just answer any questions of how to pick teams. What are the parameters around a team? We'll confirm the time and date on that. We'll put an announcement out across the socials in the near future.
Oh, no Wolves fans. No Wolves fans.
No Wolves fans. You're not.
Wolves fans are not welcome in our AMA because they were mean to John.
They were mean to me, and I will see them in the championship in a year's time, so it's fine.
Bournemouth. But anyway, yes, we will do a little AMA and we will show you how it all works. You'll get an idea for it. It'll become very natural very, very quickly. But basically, if you have questions, if you're not sure anything to do with fantasy football or football in general, throw them at us. We're going to do a Q&A session and we're going to go through the whole lot and teach you all how to play, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, because a lot of the advice that we're going to give in terms of how we play our game is going to be comparable in terms of, guess what? If there's a sleeper agent that you haven't thought of, we have. We've been doing this a while.
We've been doing the homework.
We've been doing this a while. So look, over on the site right now, you can actually see the point scoring metrics, how we're picking. Am I right, Jimmy, in saying we have 54 data points when you break it
57.
down? 57.
57 possible data points when you vary for position.
The Premier League,
some of which have never been in use before, like pass completion percentage, minutes played, not either 60 or none, minutes played, aerials, blocked shots, last man tackles, interceptions, all that good
And this
stuff.
is why we're saying come into us with the questions, because we want to do a full live session where we just literally let y'all have at us, tell us, I'm trying to pick my fantasy football team this year. I'm going to play draft with the lads. I'm going to give your game a go, as you should. As you should. But I'm sure you have questions, because guess what? There's a lot of new players in the Premier League that we've already been running numbers for. There's a bunch of articles looking at fixture lists, opening 5-6 fixtures for every team in the Premier League. We have things like like Gary's GVC, where we're looking at the players to pick, avoid, and the wildcard sleeper options of each Premier League team. We have the information. We're trying to give it to you. That's the whole point of this whole podcast. But we're going to do a live session and get you to ask all the questions, and we're going to answer. Basically, AMA. Let's do this. Yep. So, anywho, one team spends all the money. One team can no longer spend any money. We're looking at Chelsea. We're looking at Man United.
Looking at United.
Where do we want to start?
I have a question.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
If these are the big money clubs and they're not allowed to spend anything, why can't I move without hearing an announcement that one of them has spent a whole load of money on someone?
Oh, because Chelsea are playing football with this. Do you remember when you played Sims back in the day?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you remember when you used to what was the cheat code that you used to type in the magic box? Golden Brain.
Oh, I don't remember.
Something like that. Someone is going to remind me of what that Sims cheat code was. It's like
they are. The comments are screaming right now.
It's like you should know this. I should know this. But that's essentially what Chelsea are doing. They're buying players. They're giving them. We've actually had to change Premier League transfer regulation because of Chelsea. This is why they were giving players the 10-year death row contract. Hi, I'm Mikhailo Mudryk. Sign me for 10 years. That way we only owe $8 million a year for the next 10 years. Chelsea are spending guaranteed $10 million $100 million per season for the next 8 seasons on existing players. This is why they're so adamant of every summer having to sell 3 or 4. Because if they sell 3 or 4, it covers their current
cost.
It covers their current outlay and opens them up to allow spend for this summer, which on paper makes sense. However,
well, it makes sense if your players turn out to be good. Like there's some players you sign, if they turn out to be good, then it makes sense. But if
it makes sense if you're Brighton, Brentford, a Fulham, a middle pack Premier League team. Like look at Brentford. Yeah. They bought him for 4. They're selling him for 70. Yeah. That's how you do this. If you're Chelsea, Cole Palmer worked out. Do you want to sell him? No, you don't. Unless someone like Madrid comes in with holy goalie money, like the guys that you're
even still, if it's Chelsea right now, it's Cole Palmer. I wouldn't sell even for.
No, but if Real Madrid come in and go swinging 100 around, then that's the conversation.
No.
Well, no, it's not. I think that's why you've got players like Jackson who are on the way out, because they've literally replaced Jackson with Pedro, who very similar type of player. The difference is Jackson, because if I remember, if I'm right, John, you'll know this, he's homegrown. So any money they make off him is profit, but that'll cover.
Jackson, no.
Is Jackson not covered?
No.
Even if they sell it, they still make profit on him. And that will cover the first couple of years of Pedro's contract. But it also means that it can cover a certain amount of the other signings that they've made this year.
Yeah,
so like if they sell Jackson for 60 million, they're probably covering Pedro, Gittins, and Sarr.
You see, and this is the problem with a team like Chelsea selling, that the guys that they're trying to sell are the guys that everybody knows they want and need to get rid of. So clubs are willing to hold back that little bit longer and wait for them to pull their pants down. It's the same way that Man United can't sell players because they're offering them. The difference between a Chelsea and a Man United is Man United, they're on too big money. And Chelsea, it's too big outlay. They paid bank for them, so trying to move them on, they go, right, we can't sell this player for less than 40 to make a profit. And you've got a team like a Brighton going, nah, we'll give you 30 because we know you need to sell.
Well, I was going to say about Brighton and Chelsea. So it sounds like Chelsea have discovered a magic button called huge debt and pay later, and that would be fine. In fact, I think they should keep doing it forever because Brighton, as we all know, are Chelsea's academy over the last couple of years. There's a huge number of the Brighton big money signings have gone to Chelsea. So if they want to borrow themselves into financial ruin and keep Brighton rich, that's fine by me. Pedro was on the I can't believe they paid much at all for Pedro, given that we all know what went on at the last of the season. He had his bags packed for him. Like, he could have been got for a song, but they went in and they spent, and it's great.
This is the thing. This is the problem with Chelsea. They have a hugely inflated squad. I think last season, what was it?
Oh, massive.
What was it they had out on loan? When you looked at the players out on loan, I think they had 20 players on loan. This is when you're looking at your Ben Chilwell, still contracted to Chelsea. He's
Palace now, isn't he?
No, he was only on loan.
He was on loan, yeah. No, I think he's out of contract now, but last season he was.
They had 20 players out on loan, and when you look through the list, there was a few Brazilians that they bought who they loaned back, give a bit of time to get their work permits, basically. You would have had fellas that they bought with the intention of loaning, like Petrovic, who's now potentially going to Brentford, maybe or Bournemouth. One of the two. Whichever one. Bournemouth. Yeah. Petrovic. So they basically bought him to send him on loan, have a good season there in Spain or Germany or France, their kid. And guess what? One of the other Premier League teams might go, do you know what? We know Chelsea need to sell. We'll get him at a reasonable price. So Chelsea would buy someone in like him for 15 to 18. He'd do a decent season out on loan. Then they can sell him for 25. And then their book says 7 mil up. And they didn't have to pay his wages for a year because they loaned him.
But doesn't that all hinge on the idea that the players will increase in value and be sellable?
But this is why they buy so many players. So Chelsea's first team squad, if you were to include everybody who was on loan, everybody who was in their bomb squad last year, do you remember that when they had 9 fellas that weren't allowed training with the team? They would have potentially a squad of 38 players in their first team. If you add in the loanies, the bomb squad, the guys they're actively getting rid of, their squad they cannot register 12, 14 players. And their hope is if we send everybody outside of this out on loan and 2 have a successful season, we'll sell them 2. And the rest, we'll loan them out again. Or maybe one of them might have a decent enough season that will bring them into the Chelsea fold. And then that we can just sell someone off like an Nkunku or... Basically, they're trying to moneyball the system, and the problem with that is when you're a team like Chelsea, is your outlay is so high.
Yeah,
Brentford don't have this, Fulham don't have this. They buy to sell. Chelsea are buying to try win a league, but also trying to incorporate this same moneyball strategy. It's a shit show waiting to happen. It's why they keep getting fined by UEFA. It's why they keep selling assets to themselves to try circumvent PSR laws. They are basically what they have is a team of lawyers sitting over here going, read those rule books there, lads, and tell us where you find a gap.
This really does sound like a short-term plan that's gone.
It's an absolutely short-term plan, but this is an Americanization of a Tomboli, Clear Lake organization going, if we own it for 5 years, we create an asset-rich asset, and then we can sell it off for twice what we bought it for, regardless of what that means for the long-term finances of the club.
John's right. This is exactly what it is. It's an Americanization of sport in the Premier League. And you see this consistently in NFL, and it goes in cycles where you would have had teams like the New England Patriots, the 49ers, etc., who would have invested in a team for maybe 3 or 4 years of success. Now, granted, okay, I'm probably using bad examples with those two teams, but afterwards they can go into obscurity. Problem with with NFL versus Premier League is the NFL system as a whole is built for that circular process. Premier League is not. If Chelsea get to that point where they start hitting rock bottom because of all of this plans, and they get relegated or they end up not qualifying for Europe, and all of a sudden their prize money is less, they ain't pulling out of that. They're really not pulling out. All you need to do is look at Leeds as the example. And I don't like having a dig at Leeds because we all know Dermot is a Leeds fan, but they are the prime example.
What happened in the early 2000s when,
they went like absolutely transfer heavy on a load of different players. They got to a Champions League semi-final.
Harry Kewell, Rio Ferdinand, Ian Hart.
Michael, got to a Champions League semi-final, thought they were the shit, and then it all fell apart. Everyone thought David O'Leary was the second coming as a manager, but it was just badly run, and they've been in obscurity pretty much ever since. Chelsea
25
are
years
running the risk of doing the same.
They got relegated in, what was it, 04 something? I'm going to get ripped.
04 or 05, I think, yeah.
And they basically only got back into the league when Bielsa took them over. And this is the problem, like Chelsea, so when Clearlake, again, a bit of history here. So when Chelsea were bought by Clearlake, they found some dodgy accounting by Mr. Roman, which, shock and horror, are we surprised about? So they had actually breached a few laws. They basically owned up. They got a slap on the wrist is because good boys Clearlake, you reported some dodgy shit that you found in the accounts. Fair enough. Everybody's happy. UEFA, even the Premier League, were like, we're not going to give you the heavy points deduction because this wasn't under your watch, but we'll give you a slap on the wrist because you're the ones bringing it to us. Well done. Fair enough. I'll give them credit where it's due with that. But essentially what they've done in the coming years since is they've spent hand over fist based on this amortization PSR model. If the PSR and UEFA financial fair play regulations get changed in the next 2 years, Chelsea are fucked.
But they've already changed them slightly. They've already stopped the whole 10-year contract thing, haven't they?
Yep.
I think it's a maximum. Was it maximum 5-year contract now?
You can give them a 7-year contract, but you have to have the agreement paid out in the 5.
Okay. Yeah, no, I know there was something about the 5. It has to it can't go further than the 5.
So let's say they buy a player like any of the players they've bought.
Well, Pedro.
Yeah, let's use Pedro.
Sure, Pedro.
So 60-odd mil deal. They'll pay 20 up front, 40 now over the next 5 years in 6-month installments. Tick, move on. But what they were doing there a year ago was Casido, 120 million. We'll give you 40 up front, but now we owe you for the next 10 years. From a team like Brighton's perspective, they can look at that and go, cool, guaranteed revenue of this in every summer, unless Chelsea go bust and now they're a creditor or a debtor. But anyway, so then you've got this whole spiraling cycle of real money, fake money, and they're inflating accounts with sales. And this is why Aston Villa and Chelsea recently got their fines from UEFA a couple of weeks ago. And they've also been warned by UEFA about how they do. So UEFA have cancelled 3 transfer deals between Villa and Chelsea in the last week, by all accounts, because they're basically, I'll buy this guy for 20 million from you, who's an academy player who's never played a senior game, and vice versa. You buy an academy player from me for 25 million. Our account looks up 5, your account is this, but now we've also sold a homegrown player, so we have 20 million to play with.
Do you mean like rigging the game by manipulating transfers, by picking up players you have no intention of actually using so that the two of you can mutually benefit? That kind of thing, lads. Would that be what you're talking about there, John and Gary? Is that the kind of thing?
Yeah,
Gary and John.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jimmy.
Okay. It's moving swiftly along. my question is this:
we were 3 years. We were 3 years ahead of everybody else. So anyone in a Premier League club is looking for someone to hire.
Just like good bank robbers, you were just thinking bank robbery is just thinking ahead.
No, this is what it is when you look at a team like Chelsea. They've essentially replaced their whole forward line for the 3rd year in a row now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going next here. Was before we dim the lights and play some light jazz and enjoy a cup of tea. In Gary's visionary corner.
Nice. Yeah, I prefer that.
GVC!
The GVC. My question about Chelsea is this, gentlemen. What do we do with all of this information about these transfers? Who do we like? Who do we not like? Who are we
They're
worried
a
about?
the case to pick from at the minute.
I don't know. I've got my eye on one. I've got
Cole
you. Well,
Palmer, who only played for 6 months of the season last year.
who?
Is it going to be Cole Palmer, who played football for 6 months last year? Was class for that 6 months, but
14 points a game and 502 overall. No, it's not Cole Palmer. He's not my wildcard pick. He'd be my obvious pick. But it's not me that gets to pick because this is Gary's corner.
Go on, Gary.
It is.
Your deduction.
Well, look, I mean, Chelsea. So I'm looking at this a little bit differently because there's a lot of players on the Chelsea squad that you can take and you'd be taken in the first 5 rounds, to be fair. You can make an argument for a lot of different players. But Jimmy's right, and I don't like saying that. Cole Palmer, your pick every day of the week. I gave out about him last season because, as John, you were right as well, he was great for the 6 months of the season, but he still finished number 2 overall. He had a great Club World Cup. He really, really did. He owned it over there. He's a year older. He's 13, 14 points a game. You take him all day long. He's a first-round pick. Simple as that.
I think he's the only one who I can say outside of Caicedo, his first name on the team sheet. Everybody else is up for debate, I think.
Oh, I've spotted something.
Go on. Who have you spotted?
I would think Fernandes might fall in there as well. I think Enzo might fall in there as well. But look, Palmer is the first name on the team sheet every single week. It's as simple as that. If Chelsea have ambitions of winning the league, and I think they will win it next year, I'm just saying that here and now.
But their strikers now, Nkunku and Jackson, gone. Delap, in. On the right side, Pedro Neto's. Is he going to step up more? Now Nani's gone.
So here you go now. So this we'll get to the wildcard pick because you've mentioned it. Neto is the wildcard. Madueke has gone to Arsenal for what, 47, 48 million. So that's a spot for him to play. I know they've signed Gittins as well from Dortmund
and Estevao.
And Estevao. And
Estevao on the right and Gittins on the left. They have gone for a whole new front three.
What, 17? What's he, 17, 18?
18,
yeah.
They've also brought Gittins in from Dortmund, so they've replaced.
Gittins is the threat there.
Well, your forward line now from last year, you had Madueke off one side, Neto off the other side, and Jackson up front. Now you're going to have Gittins one side, João Pedro the other, and Delap through the middle. Maybe I think that's
I don't think so. I don't think that's how it goes. I actually think that. So we'll get to Delap in a second. Your wild card is Neto, though, for me, because Madueke is gone. I think he plays more than he played last year, and he was decent enough last year.
He was decent last year. I'll give you that.
So, and he had a pretty solid Club World Cup. I know it's Club World Cup, it's not Premier League, but it's still competitive football, and he did quite well. João Pedro would have been, but I don't know whether you have him in the team because I don't know if he's going to throw his toys out of the pram.
I would have him as my wild card, to be honest. With the way he seems to have already... He got off a flight, played 2 days later, scored 2 Thunder Bastards, is the only way to describe him. Absolute crackers. I think he's a bit of a dick. And I think if you're going to be a good attacking player for Chelsea, given their history of buying and ruining centre forwards, the ones who've survived and thrived, Diego Costa, Didier Drogba, a little bit of a bitch streak in them.
Yeah.
I think João Pedro fits that. Different player, but I think he fits that. Hi, I'm here. Step up time. Get out of my way. And I think
absolutely. Which is why. But this is why you're one to like. So there was two lads you avoid, and they're at either end of the scale. The first one is Liam Delap. The first one is Liam Delap. So Liam Delap will play in the same position as Pedro. Pedro will play through the middle. He will play through
to the side.
Yes, but he probably won't play 90 minutes because he's at his most dangerous as an impact sub and always has been. I think it's Delap for 60. Pedro. I think it's Delap for 60 and Pedro for 30 starting off.
No,
I don't think there's.
No, it's the other way around.
I think we have moved to the point with Chelsea being spending as wildly as they do and being as fluid as they are in terms of rotation. I think they will quite happily take their big name signing of the season and play him for half an hour because that's when he scores. And I think Delap is a bit more grafty and I think he'll get the more game time starting out to see if they can reproduce the magic that happened elsewhere. So I think this is great. You were making your picks, and we're just picking on you. It's great.
No, I'm actually the opposite, though.
This is the issue with Chelsea, is they have their
many options.
Their squad is too big for a start. And the thing for me, and I know this is going to piss off Chelsea fans, it's not that good. There's a lot of
squad. It's not.
There's a lot of
standouts, and everybody else is on a.
There's a lot of good players.
Well, who are you picking out of the defense? Cucurella. Okay.
Incorrect. Wildcard time. It's Levi Colwill. Colwill, without a shadow of a doubt. 36 fucking games, 9 points a game. You put that on your bench, lads. Even if he's not a top 11 pick, you put that on your bench all day long, because the level of aerials is twice anybody else. They rely on him so much, and a more defensively focused game, you will see him move flying up the ranks, absolutely flying up. 3,000 plus minutes last year, which is up there with Caicedo and Palmer and nobody else.
I don't think.
I think Colwell's the one you take at the back. My heart says Cucurella because he used to be a seagull, but my head says Colwell.
I'm looking at it like, obviously I have my affinity towards Tossin, not pick. I have him here. Mark Cucurella, yeah, okay, worthwhile. Tossin, love him, no. Benoit Badiashile, just no. Levi Colwill, okay, yeah, I can vibe with that. Mohamedou Sarr, no. Trevor Chalobah,
No. Points per game are good, but he doesn't get enough time anymore. He's the kid nobody wants.
But there's talk of Chalobah moving on as well, so.
They've been trying to
him from loan from Palace.
Probably not going to be there.
Reece James, Captain Reece James, is his hamstring going to stick together for once?
Well, Reece James looks like he's moving into midfield.
On Chalobah, remember something important. The only reason he was recalled is because they realised they had a serious defensive problem and pulled all of their centre-backs home. If they hadn't done that, then Ange would have, it would have been another Ange situation of going out of Christmas with no defenders. So he's the kid they want to get rid of. Don't touch him. He's not a bad player, but he's not good enough for the team.
Sure. Wesley Fofana, Malo Gusto, Reece James, if he can stay put together. Reece James, if he can stay put together, is a worthwhile pick. But here's the thing: Reece James doesn't stay put together, so don't pick him.
Yep.
It won't happen.
There's a lot here. They have a lot here, and I'm like, Keenan Dewsbury Hall, why? Just why?
To make sure Leicester went back down. But the overwhelming consensus is that
I think Cole Palmer's the dead on, even though I'm like on the fence. I think
Cole Palmer's the lock.
Yeah,
he's the lock in. The lap for me is the one or Gusto. Gusto you avoid as well.
I like Fernandez as well, though. I like Fernandez in the second half of the season when he.
Well, you like Fernandez to pick. People. You like him to pick, that's fine, but you don't like Gusto is the one you don't touch with a 10-foot barrel.
The worst transfer of fantasy football last year again.
You dropped.
Well, we'll take any opportunity to have that dig.
When I dropped Enzo for Brennan Johnson, who was 4 games into his 7-game scoring streak, which looked wonderful for another 3 weeks. I was like, yay, transfer of the season. And then Enzo turned it on in November. 3 weeks after I got rid of him, I was like, God damn it.
These are the ups and downs, the left and rights.
They're not sore about that
draft.
I'm totally not sore about it. I still feel like we probably could have won the league if I kept him. And that's the story. I'm sticking to it.
But like me, you didn't win shit. Anyway,
actually, hold on.
John, I'm going to say something now that's going to make you... 2 cups isn't a double. I'm going to say something now that's going to make you very happy, John. I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to immediately regret saying it. Like anyone else who uses these 2 words on the internet, on the radio, in front of a camera, or in conversation. Manchester United.
Can we just get a summary on Chelsea before we move on? So
did we not? Sorry.
Yeah, just rundown summary. So Gary was saying pick Cole Palmer.
Pick Cole Palmer.
Potentially
stay away from the lap, because I'm the opposite opinion to Jimmy. I think Pedro starts, the lap potentially takes the bench there, because that's the way it was during the Club World Cup. So you stay away from the lap. You definitely stay away from Gusto, and we won't go into the numbers, but 4.2 points per game over 32 games. And when Fofana has better stats than you over 14 games, you don't touch him. And then your wild card is probably someone like Pedro. It could be Neto or it could be Colwell. There's a lot of sleepers there where you can look at it, and make it justified case of why you take them. For me, it's Neto.
I would agree.
I'm saying Colwell.
Fair.
Colwell's a fair call as well.
Love a defender.
Fair enough. And before we move on to Manchester United, The real player that you avoid at Chelsea is their goalkeeper. They have the worst goalkeeping department in the Premier League, and picking any Chelsea goalkeeper is like touching poison. Go nowhere
This is
near.
factually incorrect, and statistically speaking, Robert Sanchez has been top 5 for 3 of the last 5 years.
He's a
He is
donkey,
an
and I
absolute
don't care.
donkey, but he gets on base, Donny. He gets on base.
But he won't anymore.
That's what you said last year.
Yep, and he was still shite last year, but anyway.
Wasn't.
Okay, anyway, it's Manchester United. The biggest team in football and all this. Are they fucked?
Do we have to talk? We have to talk about United. We do, because as much of a shit show that Chelsea you can probably make an argument. United are a little bit worse at the moment. Yeah. They really, really are. And Jimmy, for all of the talk of money that's been thrown around and transfers in and out of United, they've actually only really made one signing.
Yeah, see.
Now I know, and for the purpose of this conversation, we're gonna assume that everything is cool with Mbeumo, because the medical is done. He probably will sign tomorrow, and the rumors are that he'll sign in time for them to go on their trip to America. So we're going to assume he's done. But officially, Cunha is the only one who's come in so far. So there hasn't been a lot of money being thrown around. The big thing with United is they're trying to get money. They're trying to get players off their wage bill, Rashford to Barcelona, etc., etc. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about players that you take and not take, and so on and so forth. So
we did give Chelsea their due course, and I think it's worthwhile having a little discussion about Man United.
We can.
They've essentially, I like what Amarim's up to. I do. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So again, I'm going to give context here because I got rinsed last week on TikTok for my Jokeres opinion. I spent a little bit of time living in Portugal. I went to see a lot of Sporting Lisbon games. I got to see them up front. Oh man, an Amorim team in flow. An Amorim team set up the Amorim way. Plays ball. Remember what they did to City? Do you remember what they did to City in the Champions League last year? Bad.
But you've got
nasty things to them.
Yeah, absolutely. But you've got to have the players across the pitch to do it, not just up front. You have to have the players from back to front to do it, and United don't have them.
And he will. It's fine, because what he did when he his first club, first summer, did similar to what he did with United. Took the job halfway through the season, got to the summer, tanked out 20 players, went get the fuck out. Not in my dressing room, not in how we do things. Replaced them with like 12 guys, closer knit group. Went, this is how we play. This is how we do things. Guess what? Within a year, Sporting job. First summer, 7 players, including their highest ever transfer in, highest ever wage earner, and he fucked him out the door and went, I don't give a wank how good you think you are. If you're not working for this team, there's the door, go find it, and got him gone. Got rid of 7 players, and they hadn't won a league in 30 years, and that full first season in charge, they won it and haven't lost it since.
Yeah, and that's admirable.
Here's the thing. Again, factually, technically incorrect. All that has officially left United is Eriksen, Evans, and Lindelof.
Sure.
Who, by all accounts, are lads who were pretty much... Bar Lindelof.
But they were out of contract then.
Now let's go back.
But he can't flog the rest. He can't move Rashford.
There's 5 players there now who have... Again, this is adding the layers here. So there's 5 players in that dressing room where they have been basically told you are no longer welcome. If you want to, we have to, because you're employed by the club, you have to have access to the club facilities, etc., etc. So you can come in and train at 6 p.m. when everybody else has gone home. That is Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Malacia, Anthony, and Garnacho. The 5 of them, no longer welcome. There's the door. If you want to come and train, 6 p.m. when everybody else has gone home. But this isn't about the money, it's about culture in the room.
And that's fine. Yeah, culture is great, but if you can't offload those 5 players, you're not bringing enough players in.
But what did
if you get rid of those 5 players, right? You get rid of those 5, and you want to replace them with.
You don't need to replace them all. You need to replace 2 of them because the rest were fucking shit anyway.
Okay, so Malacia, who was left back, who's he being replaced by?
Diego Leon, the 17 from Paraguay, who came in for 7 million.
So they're replacing him with a 17-year-old Paraguayan. Okay, yeah, and you like what Amarin is doing.
What was Malacia when they bought him? A fellow who came in for 15 million, went on the injured list for 14 months.
Yeah, and was
fine. So he was worth a wank.
Right, but being
absolutely, and
expensive
I'm not
doesn't
disagreeing with that. But you're
being
talking
expensive
about
doesn't make him
replacing
bad.
somebody who was worth the wank with somebody who's 17, and with all due respect, Paraguay probably haven't,
Well, he's already
produced a ton of players.
Dorgu technically
Caicedo.
was the replacement there, and he's already Dorgu. Whatever, he might not be the best footballer in the world, but
Dorgu's fair.
application wise,
Yeah.
effort wise, and this is where Man United are right now. That it's not a case of let's go out and buy Rodrigo, let's not go out and buy Harry Kane. It's a case of let's get in honest, solid, hardworking professionals who have a good attitude, who want to be at Man United and want to show people what they can do. Which is why a player like Cunha, it's like, buddy, here's your platform. Show everybody what you can do. And Bueno, time to step up the same way you did last year when Ivan Toney left and you were given the keys to the castle. And guess what?
Yeah.
You ran that castle. And
so I would agree with you on Bueno, and that's why he's my top pick.
Okay.
He will be he is your lock. It's
wrong top pick.
Well, it's not.
Sorry, Gary, you're wrong. But go on. I hate agreeing with John, but I think it's the other.
Let me think. You're both going to say Bruno, aren't you?
Obviously, it's Bruno.
No, it's not Bruno, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. Right. Because Cunha, their latest signing, will either not play or he'll play where Bruno does. Because if you look at the two systems, so Amarin plays this 3-4-2-1 system where you've got the big man up top, which might be Sesko if he comes in, could be Højlund, could be somebody like that. I don't know. Either behind that, then you've got your two number 10s. Cunha for Wolves played that exact same system on the left, which is exactly where Fernandes plays. Are you going to drop Bruno Fernandes? Probably not. So he falls, but he'll play in a deeper role. Not saying you don't pick him.
Bruno's going to be one of the 8s this year.
Similar. That's going to take away from his points.
That's not going to look right for his points.
Which is why. Point. Okay.
Which is why he's not the lock.
However, flip side of that, I respect that. However, he got those points last year with nobody in front of him to give the ball to.
Yeah, but he's not giving the ball to the end product, man. So,
but now he's going to be giving the ball to players who can actually score a goal. Hopefully, I mean.
I don't know. I think, Gary, sometimes the thing that I've always slagged you about is you love a new transfer. You love a new signing. And I think Cunha, I think this may be a case where Cunha is not the one that shines coming in because he was coming from Wolves, so it wasn't hard to shine.
So, sorry, comment coming in there from Dino, by the way, over on YouTube about the 17-year-old Paraguayan saying, I don't rate Gyökeres, but I rate the 17-year-old. I didn't say that I rate the 17-year-old. I said he's Malacia's replacement, the guy who didn't play football for 2 years versus someone who can actually be around. But anyway, let's move on from that.
There's another comment after coming in here regarding John Logic.
No, that's the comment I'm talking about.
Yes, you didn't want to. Okay, well, I'm not allowed to talk about until he signs
and Dino's talking about Gyökeres now because he's hoping that
he's hoping that United are jumping
under hope that Gyökeres happens. It won't be happening.
It won't be happening.
Calvert fucking Lewin.
No, they can't. They can't continue buying all those forwards. I'm going to throw that out there again, though. I don't think Cunha is the be-all, end-all. I think the best move United have made here is the man who finished overall last year.
Well, Cunha, 4 players though. That team still needs, and this is going to be the problem with picking United players right now. If that's the squad going into the season, they're going to end up and stay in the bottom half of the Premier League next year. If they don't get 3 or 4 more guys in the next month, if they get 3 or 4 more in. Of decent, working honest professionals, like if they get goals,
they're not going to get 3 or 4 more in. It goes against their transfer policy. If you look at every transfer window over the last 3 or 4 years, they've made 3 big signings in each window, and they've already essentially made 2 in positions where they probably could have gotten away with it for the season. They needed to build at the back, so fair enough. Mbeumo makes a lot of sense. He's going to play out on the right hand side. The man you avoid, the man you do not pick in the first 5 rounds is Cunha. He will play in that number 10. You don't pick him in the 5 rounds. He is going to be found out quicker than a CEO at a Coldplay concert.
Oh!
You do not. Don't touch him. Don't touch him.
Is it that bad?
Jimmy, I got to take us to a Coldplay concert.
Yay!
I want to be
So he was
he wouldn't have been.
He was the main man at Wolves because everything went through him. He was the be all and end all at Wolves. Everything played through him. fair enough. That's not going to happen with United. There is enough talent going forward where it won't go through him. After about 4 months of not being the main man, because he thinks he is, even though it's going to be Bruno and it's going to be Mbeumo, who are the big, big names and the big personalities in that dressing room.
So
Cunha is he's just gonna lose heart. He's not going to deliver.
I don't see.
I'm telling you here and now, he doesn't finish. I don't think Cunha finishes top 15, top 20 next year.
I'm sorry, but this is typical Liverpool fan logic here. Florian Wirtz is going to come in and he's going to play second. He won't play second fiddle to Salah, but the guy that Man United bring in, he's going to.
Hang on a second. I never said Wirtz. So we're not getting into Liverpool because they're coming down the line the next 2 weeks. But first of all, I never said Wirtz would play second fiddle to Salah. What I'm saying here is that someone like Cunha, he was the main man in the dressing room at Wolves, small pond stuff. He's going to go to United. He's going to be overshadowed by a lot of bigger personalities in there. He's going to think he is the dog's bollocks, and he's going to be found out. I'm not saying you don't draft him at all. I'm saying you don't, everyone's going to be looking at Cunha going, he had a phenomenal season last year, which he did. He's probably a third round pick. He's probably a third round pick.
I have
which he's not. Which is
TikTok. There's a guy called John. He's saying that they should look at Joel Pirot, 5.5 mil in FPL, 26 goals and assists in Championship last season. We're going to be talking about Leeds in 2 weeks' time because our resident Leeds fan is currently, I think he's paddling up a river somewhere in the Amazon forest. I don't know.
No, he's back on this continent somewhere, but he'll be with us as soon as he can.
John, we're going to be talking Leeds in about 2 weeks' time. So come back on Monday night, 7 p.m. 2 weeks' time. We're going to have a very detailed Leeds corner. And Jack has come in and said, Gary, you've never been more wrong in your entire existence. Cunha is going in round one. I guess that we know who Jack's first round pick is going to be.
Cunha round one, Jack. If you're right and I'm wrong, I'll gladly bow down to your superior knowledge. But Cunha, for me, you don't take before round 5.
I think that's mental logic. I do think United will get 5 players in total this season. I do think with Onana being injured, they're going to get a goalkeeper. And Jack is also asking for the draft order. Wait, give us a couple of weeks. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think they're going to get another goalkeeper in. I do think they're going to get a centre forward in. I think they will get 5 players in total. It's just whatever that makeup is of that. And as they get rid of other players, so when Rashford does head off to Barcelona, because he's off to do his medical, and that's going to be a loan with an option.
Yeah, that's a done deal, isn't it?
An option to buy, which will trigger an obligation after. We'll find out more about this.
I'm going to throw a wild card at you. There is a man. No, I'm not going to do the song again. There's a lad who's banging away there at the back for United, and even on their bad days, he has scored points, and even on their good day, they have no good days. Sorry, lads. 7 points as a defensive sub. Diogo Dalot, he knows what he's about. There's no apparent sign that he's moving out. Yeah. If anything, the number of lads who've been thrown out in their arses, rightly or wrongly, do point to a certain affinity between Amorim and the guys who are still there. And I think Diogo Dalot's pretty nailed on. Played 33 last year. He was just shy of 3,000 minutes, which only Onana and Fernandes managed. Nailed on for me. It's Fernandes all day long. Cunha, I see your point, but I don't think it's round 5, Gary. I think he's probably a round 3 pick because no matter what way you look at it, he's an attacking midfielder with a record of scoring goals who is now playing for a Big 6 team.
Big 16.
Yeah, no.
But if they had that team last year, they're top half this year. Like genuinely, it's just looking at the numbers. I mean, the idea of putting Cunha and Mbeumo in last year's season in front of Bruno Fernandes, and get that Hoyland out of the way, that would be amazing.
Places higher up, that's top half straight away. You put a competent goalkeeper in there who doesn't have.
Yeah, but the problem is what's in front of them, John. The problem is what is in front of them, which is Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah. He's
well, you see, the problem with United right now is they're bookended. They have no centre forward, and they have no competent centre forward, and they have no competent goalkeeper, and that is the problem in both ends. They're letting in goals that, in all fairness, none of us are going to let in, and that's saying something about how bad Onana has worked out at United. he's a very good keeper. It just hasn't worked out for him there. It hasn't. It's not, he's the kind of fella who's going to go back to Italy or go back to Spain, and he's going to be a very good player there. Congrats, best of luck to him when that happens. But they're going to need to get in someone this summer, and the rumors around Emi Martinez continue to grow. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. There's also been talk of Milenkovic Savic or something like that, the fella that they went to Leverkusen, they sold him over there, so he'd also fill a homegrown quota because he's a United Academy player. And then there is also the 29-year-old keeper that plays for Flamengo, who was very good at the Club World Cup, who is essentially the Brazilian third choice keeper behind Ederson and Alisson. So just that guy, who's just very unfortunate. The two guys ahead of him have been the two guys ahead of him. I do think they'll get in a goalkeeper. Onana's not fit till end of September now, so that move is going to be accelerated.
They had the Algerian, is it the Algerian and Moroccan last?
Turkish,
yeah.
Bayindir. They're looking to get rid of him as well, and move Radek Vitek up as the third choice.
But if they're going to do all of these moves, it breaks their transfer policy. It completely takes their transfer policy and just throws it out the window.
Well, Bayindir is like a 5 million, and that's replacing him with another Jack Butlin type deal, someone who's just happy to be there.
Yeah, but like you're talking about bringing in someone like an Emi Martinez, who's not going to be a 5 or 10 million buy. He's probably going to be north of 30.
Yes. And he'll go in and be first choice.
Yeah, absolutely. But then if they go do that, and then they have to bring in a centre forward who, if it's Gyökeres, if it's Sesko, because there's been rumours about Sesko, if it's Nicholas Jackson, because there's rumours about him floating around as well. In order for them to do that, they've got to break their transfer policy, which they've had for the last 3 or 4 years, and I can't see them doing it.
The one I think United should go for is Ollie Watkins. He'd be a reasonable price. Him, Mbeumo, and Cunha together, that's 3 workhorse attacking players. They would work very well together. And then you have then you're putting Ahmad on that right-hand channel. You're putting probably Dorgo off that left-hand channel, and then Ugarte and Bruno in the middle. Yeah. Behind that, you're going to have Euro, De Ligt, Martinez, and whoever's in goals. Now that team suddenly looks a lot stronger than it did. It looks a lot stronger, and that's not breaking the bank to put that together when you get rid of Sancho's wages off the books, when you get rid of Rashford's wages off the books. Just getting their wages off the books alone is enough to probably cover a Watkins deal. Do you know what I mean? And the goalkeeper, Jesus Christ, at this point, I think most of Man United fans would say happily take an Aaron Ramsdale at this point because he'd be better than Onana. Do you know what I mean? It's not rocket science replacing the keeper. Yeah. It's like, you know how to catch a ball and not a cold. Cool.
Yeah. To be fair to Onana, not the season gone, but the season before, he was very, very good in terms of saves. It's just, I think he got a little bit too comfortable, is the general vibe I get from the guy. First, he was this young fella who was trying to be very flashy and impressed.
He's a confidence player. He's a proper confidence player. And when he made a couple of really, really big cock-ups, and he just seemed to lose all of them. And as a result, turned into a pretty below-average goalkeeper. He's a great shot stopper. You can't take that from him. He really, really is. But when he loses confidence, he's shite. He's absolutely shite.
Going to throw a stat at you, boys, okay? And it's a very important one when you remember something about United, and it's the team as a whole, as opposed to just specific players, right? We talked about how Brighton have that narrow delta, whereas Brentford have a very, very wide one where the top few players are amazing. Bruno Fernandes in our league came 3rd overall last year.
I don't know how he's not first pick. Like when he's third.
The next United player down is Ahmad at 61, which means in theory, on average, a good team should have at least 3, if not 3 to 5, in the top 60. United don't have 2.
Basically, if United don't sign 5 players this summer, if United don't finish the summer with 5 new players, they're going to still be a bottom half team this year. Maybe the lack of Europe will help them get into the top half, but they won't be competing for Europe unless there's 4 to 5 decent players coming in. But anyway, Gary, who the hell are we picking? Let's move on and actually pick the players. So who are we picking?
So we're picking Mbeumo, top pick. Your man to avoid is Cunha, as I said. Your wildcard for me is Martinez, who, John, you mentioned, to be fair. Last season was injured, but will play if he's fit. He's just one of those players who is an absolute fucker. You want him in your team because he's a dirty little fucker, and I love it. So he will.
Well, he'll pick up a few assists with that outside channel.
And you'll pick up a few assists. Jimmy, I take your point around Dallo, but I don't think Dallo plays because I think what will happen is Ahmad will play that wing back role with Mbeumo in front of him. And even if it's a case that he doesn't, they'll rotate in and out. So I don't think he's going to get as much game time.
Side for that inversion, or it could be Dorgo over that left hand side for the outside channel. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. But I think it's Martinez is the one who takes as a wild card there in that formation. That's where
was he.
But I still think
it was a significant injury, guys. Help an old man's memory. I only have him down for 20 games last year, and the stats are grand per game, but the overall there's not much volume of anything.
For Dallo?
Oh, last man tackles. Look at that. He's got 3 last man back tackles, Martinez, in 20 games, where most guys don't even have one.
Long-term injury, only on the...
Was it knee or ankle? I can't remember. Knee injury.
He's had 2 injuries now, 2 big injuries over the last while. For me, the one to pick is Bruno. The one to avoid is Rasmus Højlund. It's the hope that'll kill you, that this is the year that'll click for him. I think that ship has sailed. Unfortunately, he'll be another Diego Forlan. He'll go somewhere and he'll pop off and be the player that everybody expected him to be. But where he's at with United now, that's not going to happen. And my wildcard pick is Ahmed. I think he's going to, now that he's going to have a set role in the team and a set trajectory, I think he's the guy that pushes on. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's fair. The only reason I didn't take Ahmed was that point around Ahmed and Dallo. I think they might rotate in, which is fair. But I would expect Ahmed to take a step forward from last season. For me, it's Martinez because I think if he's fit, and I think he might, he should be fit by the time the season comes around.
Gary, you're taking pelters over here on TikTok. Gary loves Højlund. Held him under lock and key for 30 weeks last season.
I did, but it's the hope. It's the hope that kills you, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's hope. So, yeah, pick Bruno.
But after last season, you can't have that hope. If you're taking Højlund at all, you need head test them.
Basically, yeah, it's going to be a case of pick Bruno.
So, it's too obvious not to pick him, which is why I said
avoid Rasmus Højlund. That's my 3. Gary, I totally understand your 3 being the pick with Mbeumo and stuff. So,
can I throw a fresh avoid in there? If we're talking about the hope that will kill you, and no one was more hopeful than me that this man would make a return to the form that we saw a few years ago, but it's just not going to happen. Do not suggest to me that Mason Mount is the solution to any problem.
Oh, you'd actually forget about him.
Done.
It's a shame.
Forgot about it.
It's a shame because he started to reappear, and I've seen a little bit of chatter about him online as when people talk about the United midfield and there's not enough in, they go, but we have Mason Mount. And I just want to make it very, very clear. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
So he's an avoid for me, just in case anybody has a bright idea. That's not a bright idea.
There's an awful lot to avoid there. Avoid Harry Maguire, avoid De Ligt, avoid Casemiro, avoid Ugarte. Their card machines. Their card machines. Luke Shaw, another one, the hope that'll kill you. Dallo, another one, the hope that'll kill you.
I think outside of Mbeumo and Bruno will avoid
Dallo's worth drafting, but Luke Shaw's the one that has hurt me for years. Every time he gets fit, I pick him, and then he gets hurt again. He's my version of Reece James, the guy I keep going and picking every time he gets fit, and he keeps letting me down. I say this knowing I'm going to do it again this year.
It's just a matter of when you pick him. I mean, I know you're going to pick him. It's going to. I would say round 10 because it will hurt you that he's not been picked.
A bit later. I think it was round 16 last year where I went from.
How far are we going this year? We're going 18 in Draft Classics. So was it that late? And with a return of, let's see, 1.1 points per game across his 7 appearances, I think you picked him too soon, mate. I
did, yeah, because he got injured again.
Also, I don't know why anybody expects Lenny Euro to play.
Lenny Euro for one of the first of that back 3.
He's the lad that looks exactly like Ludacris, yeah?
That's him.
Yeah, he's useless. He won't play. Don't bother.
It's going to be Euro, Martinez, De Ligt. I'll tell you that now. And Euro is it. He looks very, very good. He's very, very quick. He's very, very sturdy. He's very, very good. The problem is that season that they had a
21 games, 11 tackles, just short of 2 points per game. Plenty of opportunity. Underperformed versus Højlund. Didn't do anything. If Amarim picks him, he better be a new man after some serious summer training.
Back and let's talk. We'll talk about him later in the season. Right?
We will.
Absolutely. But that's the GVC for this week.
I think Chelsea and United have a lot going on there, and they're two teams where honestly Chelsea can go spend an awful lot of money next week, and everything we've talked about could be fucking pointless. Man United, you'd like to think that the ones that we've picked, great, A1. I'd like to see them get a few more bodies in, because I'd like to see where they can possibly. A competitive Man United is good for the Premier League. You know what I mean?
Competitive Man United 100% agree with you there.
Premier League. It is.
Okay.
It is that rivalry with City, that rivalry with Liverpool, that pushing with Leeds back in the league, all of that put together. Honest to God, man,
the league loses something if United aren't there.
It's true. No, look, more better teams is more better football. Even I understand that mathematics. I have deeply, deeply enjoyed the pain of their fans over the last few years. As in previous years, I enjoyed the pain of Liverpool fans even more. But I don't like to see it go on for too long, because underneath this cold spreadsheet of an exterior, I do want to see people generally do well.
No, this is really good stuff. So I think we're going to leave it at that today. As I said, look, head over to StatrDraft.com, StatrDraft.com. Head over to the website, join the wait list, have a gander at some of the blogs that are there around how our points work, how to have a fantastic draft night. If you're not in the waiting list, get that done. And when you put all of these pieces of the puzzle together, it's coming. You're going to have a nice time. Join us on that. We are going to do that live soon. And to everybody who's actually watched over on TikTok, anybody who's watched over on YouTube, and anybody whose name is Dina Hearn, anybody whose name is Jack, we love you. We're going to see you on draft night. Is that it for today?
That's it
for tonight, man.
That's it for today.
That's it for tonight.
Cool.
It's been real, people.
Next week, let's go again. And we